Now, Ukraine claims that at least 3 teenagers were injured, and these are images of firefighters who are struggling to douse the fire. The attack comes as the United States is pushing for a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia and is hoping to agree to a partial ceasefire that would halt strikes on energy infrastructure by both sides. Now, Ukraine has accused Russia of targeting its civilians in a guided bomb attack near the city of Zaporizhia. Kiev claims that at least about 5 civilians, including a child, have been injured in the strike.
The night was silent until it wasn't. In a sudden, earth-shaking explosion, Ukraine struck deep into the heart of Russia's war machine, targeting a key bomb supply line that Moscow believed was untouchable. No warning, no mercy, just precision, strategy, and a devastating impact that sent shockwaves through the Kremlin. But here's the real shocker: this wasn't done with US-made missiles. Ukraine pulled off one of its most daring and destructive attacks using its own resources, proving that it doesn't need foreign weapons to cripple Putin's war efforts. With Russian supply routes in chaos and Moscow scrambling for answers, one thing is clear: Ukraine has flipped the script, and Putin is losing control faster than anyone could have predicted. In a bold and unexpected move, Ukraine launched a high-impact strike on one of Russia's most critical bomb supply lines, dealing a significant blow to Moscow's war efforts. This attack, executed without the use of US-made missiles, has sent shockwaves through the Kremlin, exposing vulnerabilities in Russia's military logistics. For months, Ukraine has relied on Western-supplied weaponry, but this latest operation proves that Kiev is capable of delivering devastating attacks with its own resources and tactical ingenuity. The precision strike disrupted key transportation routes used by Russian forces to supply bombs and ammunition to frontline positions, severely weakening their ability to sustain heavy bombardments. As Russian troops scramble to find alternative supply routes, the pressure on President Vladimir Putin mounts, signaling a shift in momentum on the battlefield. Eyewitness reports and satellite imagery confirm that Ukraine's military targeted a major railway junction deep within Russian-controlled territory, crippling a supply network that has been crucial to Moscow's airstrike operations. Explosions rocked the area as fuel depots and munition storage facilities erupted into flames, leaving behind a trail of destruction. Ukrainian officials have not disclosed the exact weapons used in the attack, but sources indicate a combination of domestically produced drones and long-range precision artillery. This strike highlights Ukraine's growing capability to strike deep into enemy lines without relying solely on Western support. Military analysts believe that this attack could mark the beginning of a new strategy, one that leverage Ukraine's own innovations and homegrown defense industry to outmaneuver Russian forces. The psychological impact of this operation cannot be underestimated, as it sends a clear message to Moscow that Ukraine is adapting, evolving, and striking back harder than ever. Putin's response has been one of visible frustration, with the Russian military scrambling to secure alternative supply routes while downplaying the severity of the attack. Kremlin spokespersons have attempted to dismiss the strike as insignificant, but reports from the ground tell a different story. Russian troops stationed near the affected area have reportedly faced severe logistical challenges, with delayed ammunition deliveries and disrupted airstrike plans. The attack has further exposed weaknesses in Russia's ability to defend its key infrastructure, raising concerns among military officials and political allies. While Putin has long projected an image of control and dominance, this latest blow challenges his grip on the war, showing that Ukraine is not only resisting but actively dismantling Russia's strategic capabilities. As cracks begin to appear in Moscow's war machine, speculation grows over how Russia will respond and whether it can maintain its offensive momentum in the face of mounting setbacks. The implications of this strike extend far beyond the battlefield. It signals a turning point in Ukraine's approach to warfare, proving that Kiev is capable of independent, high-impact operations. The attack also raises questions about Russia's long-term ability to sustain its military campaign, especially as Ukraine continues to target critical supply lines with increasing precision. International observers are closely watching how this will affect the balance of power in the conflict, with some suggesting that Russia's logistical struggles could force a shift in its war strategy. Meanwhile, Ukraine remains relentless, with military officials hinting at more surprise attacks in the near future. As the war enters a new phase, one thing is clear: Putin is losing control, and Ukraine is proving that it doesn't need foreign weapons to strike where it hurts the most. The world is witnessing a dramatic shift, and the coming weeks could determine the next major turning point in this conflict. The shockwaves from Ukraine's surprise attack are still rippling through Russia's military command, exposing vulnerabilities that Moscow can no longer ignore. For months, Putin's forces have relied on heavily fortified supply routes to sustain their bombing campaigns, believing these lines to be untouchable. But this latest strike has shattered that illusion, proving that Ukraine has the capability and intelligence to strike deep into Russian-controlled territory with deadly precision. The destruction of key supply hubs has caused significant disruptions in Russia's ability to replenish its munitions stockpiles, forcing commanders to rethink their logistic strategies. Reports indicate that Russian forces have already begun rerouting supplies. But with Ukraine's growing expertise in targeting infrastructure, no route can be considered truly safe. This attack wasn't just a military victory, it was a psychological blow that has left Putin's forces scrambling. Inside the Kremlin, frustration is mounting as the reality of the situation sets in. Putin, who has built his power on projecting strength and control, now faces an undeniable truth: his grip on the battlefield is weakening. Russian officials, desperate to downplay the impact of the attack, have issued conflicting statements, attempting to frame the strike as an isolated incident. However, leaked reports suggest otherwise. Internal assessments paint a far more dire picture, with commanders warning that further Ukrainian attacks on logistical hubs could cripple Russia's ability to maintain its offensive. The fact that Ukraine pulled off such a significant operation without US-made missiles has only deepened the embarrassment for Moscow. It signals a major shift in Ukraine's strategy, one that is less dependent on Western arms and more focused on its own technological advancements and battlefield intelligence. As Ukraine tightens its grip on Russia's supply chains, the battlefield dynamics are changing rapidly. Ukrainian forces are no longer just defending, they are taking the fight directly to Russia's critical infrastructure, forcing the Kremlin to react rather than dictate the pace of the war. Western intelligence agencies are closely monitoring Russia's next moves, with speculation that Moscow may attempt to retaliate with increased missile strikes on Ukrainian cities. However, such a response would only reinforce Ukraine's justification for continuing its deep strike operations. Meanwhile, Ukrainian military officials have hinted that this is just the beginning. With every successful attack, Kiev gains more confidence and refines its strategies, making it increasingly difficult for Russia to predict or counteract future strikes. The question now isn't whether Ukraine can keep up the fight, it's how long Russia can hold on as its foundations begin to crack. The war is changing, the balance of power is shifting, and for Putin, the worst may still be yet to come.